started, and then we can get right into it. So, there, and then we're good. Okay. Good evening. It is Tuesday, January 10th, 2023. We are convened as the Provo City School District Board of Education, meeting at 280 West, 940 North in Provo, Utah. And the time is approximately 5:22 p.m. We will begin with a roll call. Melanie Hall, Board President.
Rebecca Nielsen, Board Vice President. Jennifer Partridge, Board Member. Meg Van Wagenen, Board Member. Lisa Boyce, Board Member.
Terry McCabe, Board Member.
Gina Hales, Board Member.
Eric Anderson, Business Administrator.
Keith Rochelle, Superintendent.
Is there a motion to convene?
I move that we convene the study session.
All right, we are now in study session. I'm going to turn the time over to Vice President Rebecca Nielsen to start us off, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, we would like to welcome Richard Stoll back with us again tonight. We have quite a few things to discuss in regards to the superintendent search. Just a quick thing, please everyone be aware of the time. We have planned on an hour for this discussion, and we're already starting 23 minutes late, so we're going to have to jet. But so keep it concise, but ask all the questions you need.
Okay. Well, and thank you very much, and I appreciate being able to work with Rebecca. I know you assigned her to kind of coordinate things, and so we've had several meetings, not to make any decisions, but to kind of coordinate where we're at, and hopefully to direct the discussion this evening so that we can get things accomplished. And Melanie, let's make sure we are done by 6 o'clock.
I will make sure.
And you got the clock right
okay,
there.
I got
so
the clock. I'll be on that.
Okay, that sounds great. You know, I think I've kind of been feeling like that tonight was an opportunity for us now to really get moving. Now that we've got the 2 new board members that are in place and will be taking the oath a little later this evening, I assume, and so that hasn't happened yet, has it, Derek? So a little later, but anyhow, it's pretty official here. So anyhow, I think now we can get going. And I think the most important part of this, as I've mentioned before, is for you as board members, for all of you to be together. You guys absolutely need to come together. We have some decisions tonight that we're going to talk about, whether they get made or not. And then we have some really tough decisions down the road. And so it is so important for you as a board that you guys come together and that you're functioning and working as a team. And we need to do whatever we need to do to make sure that that happens. That's an important part of this process. It's not only an enjoyable part of the work that you will be doing as a board, but it will also be probably the most important work that you're going to do. And it will be enjoyable to have you coming together. So right to the agenda then, we've got the announcement brochure there. We brought you 3 different samples of the front picture there, and I think some of you have seen the one version probably, but no one has seen the other 2 versions. We got those pictures. Derek got those to us, and we included them in there. I think there's some great pictures there, and I think personally, it's beginning to look really good. And as I go through the whole brochure,
yes,
please.
I know some of these kids have already graduated. Do we need to make sure that they have to consent to still be used?
I think that would be probably up to Derek probably to make that call, kind of be the gatekeeper on that. Maybe there's been permission given or not, and so I think it would be certainly good to make sure we get that base covered. So thanks for asking that, Melanie. So anyhow, so we're probably good. Did we get a green light for that?
We're good. It sounds like the waiver, it covers everything. So
okay.
So any future use?
Yeah. So like the ones with Jennifer's kids, you gave us that
Sign
back
up.
when we did that, and the other ones have been just in the process. None of those kids have had opt-outs sent to us saying we can't use their pictures.
Okay. Yep, that's a good sign there. So anyhow, I think the thing that we ought to do on the brochure, Rebecca, would be is if you have any changes, suggestions, or anything, if you'd get those to Rebecca, probably by, I'm going to say maybe by the 24th, so that gives you plenty of time to go through it. And then she could get those to me, and we would then go ahead and get that updated. And then we can get another draft out. And so then we would probably be just circulating the one draft and get that out and make sure. This is your announcement, this is your brochure, and we want to make sure that we are saying the things you want said and presented in the way that you guys feel like that this represents the district. So anyhow, a lot of progress has been made over the past month or month and a half on that, and I think we're in a pretty good place. So now we just need to kind of go through it and make sure that everyone is comfortable with what we have there. Question? Yeah, please.
Question. Just, I know we're going to talk about the timeline down on number 4, but if we need to circle back and say get edits in a week, that's enough time to look at this brochure and make edits, depending on if we need another draft. And let's just put a little dot that says maybe the 24th, depending on timeline.
Yeah.
Because I think we can all, we're all going to do it in the same, it's going to take us an amount of time when we start and finish that time.
Let's
Probably
just
depends
say
on my
by
deadline.
Friday. How about we just do it by Friday?
That works.
Is that enough time for everybody?
Okay.
Okay, so we can move that Friday. That sounds great then. Okay, so let's go down to number 2 is the Y2 Analytics Survey. And again, lots of work that has been done by Rebecca and by Derek on that and getting that coordinated and kind of getting us headed there. And so I'm not sure, maybe Rebecca, anything you can share with us as far as an update? Know anything more about that?
We are meeting with them tomorrow.
We are meeting with them tomorrow. They are going to let us use their survey questions for.
Our public.
Okay, great.
If we want to. We still have to review them and see if they'll be applicable and that we want to use, but they said yes, you can use them.
Okay, good. That's another great bit of news. Do we know anything more about the timeline of when they're going to conduct that survey, or maybe that's what you'll find out tomorrow with them?
Tomorrow. Originally, I don't want to hold them to this. Originally, they said they were going to launch it on the 11th, which would be tomorrow, but I don't think it's quite ready. So I think it's getting close, but tomorrow I believe we'll be going over questions and approving questions and getting all those final details down. And so it's soon. So launch should be next week. Probably, hopefully next weekish. That sounds about right.
And do we have a chance to just kind of see the questions? I'm just curious.
I would
about that.
assume so, yes. We'll know more tomorrow.
Okay, great. I mean, I know you guys will, so I'm just wondering.
Yes, no, I'm saying I would like everyone to look at them, so I'll make sure we'll.
Great.
And then
Thank
just have a
you.
quick turnaround time again, just like with the brochures.
Right.
But we're anticipating getting that data back from them probably.
No later than the end of February.
Yeah.
That's the very latest, they said. And there's a lot of variables there that we can't control, not even they can't control. If they don't get the number of targeted responses, they go out and they solicit some more, and so sometimes that just takes extra time. So it really just, the process, we just can't dictate. It just kind of has to happen, and then, but they said they don't estimate anything going far, later than the very end of February.
Okay. Okay, so that's a really important point here to keep in mind is that date of when we would get that data back from them. And so we need to know that that's driving some of the dates that we're going to be looking at here tonight, is getting that data. And so, as far as the brochure goes, whatever that turns out, it's just we want to have that ready to go. So as soon as we get that data, then that can be included in the brochure. So what you see in there now, the qualifications, that's just in there as a placeholder for us. So anyhow, we'll look forward to that. As far as I know, you're the only district that has actually gone to that extent of getting some data and having an outside company come in and do the survey so that we have some scientific data. And so to me, that's a big deal. You guys are really doing some good work. Whoever's idea that was a great one. And I think that we will end up with some really good data, and then we'll be able to back it up. This is where that came from. And I think that's a good place for you to be as a board and a smart place to be.
So the data from the survey is going to inform, what did we decide it's going to inform? Just us?
It's gonna help us know what to put in this brochure, and then it's gonna help us as a board know the pulse out in the public.
So the brochure isn't going to go out until the survey's done. So the brochure's not going to go out till March?
So we're talking about this as far as the timeline goes, but Richard's recommendation is to, yes, if we're taking the time to do this scientific survey and put money into it and really help inform us, then we should wait for that data to help with the brochure.
And we'll be ready to go with that. As soon as we get that data back, then we'll be ready to put that in. They'll take us, less than a day to get that included in there. And then this will be, out there, and we'll be on the street with that announcement.
Also, keep in mind, this brochure goes out when the position opens up. So it doesn't need to be done ahead of time or whatnot. So as soon as the position opens is when we send it out. So it's not, they can line up those two, and so we don't have to have this ready ahead of time.
Yeah. So several things around that. So we want to make sure that everybody, feels comfortable and knows what we're looking at there as far as that timeline is concerned. And so, and I actually put the timeline down there as number 4. So maybe let's talk about the timeline right now. And I think that's, there are several things about that timeline that are crucial to doing a search. And in our case here, it's making sure that we get that data from Y2, so we can include that in the brochure. I think, yeah, oh, please.
Speak to that, or about that. So we've talked about this in the past, and we were going back and forth on whether we needed that data from the survey for the brochure, or if we just needed it for knowing the rubric we're going to use and the types of questions we're going to use when we get to actually looking at the applicants and going to those kind of interviews. I see some value in having it in the brochure, but I really don't know that someone's going to look at the brochure and say, oh, well, I'm not going to apply anymore because you're looking for this versus that, right? And I think what we already have under our qualifications probably is going to cover a lot of the things that are going to rise from this survey. We just are going to know better what are the bigger priorities. And so I would like to see us get the application open sooner with the more general things we have in our brochure, and then we narrow down what are our community priorities by the time we get to the application's now closed. Now we're going to start really determining who is the best candidate. Then we'll have all of that survey information to inform us. But we also talked a while ago about how we want to be one of the first ones out there, and when Rebecca sent this list of a potential timeline, I just feel like it's really pushed it a lot later than we had all talked about at the beginning. So I'd like to move it that we're doing things a little sooner.
Can I piggyback on what she's saying? I guess I would be interested in what your opinion is of, are we going out too early, or is this too, like,
Maybe finish
what's
going
the
to
ideal
timeline
time?
and then, yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
and great question, great comments there. And I think that's where, we need to come together and decide, okay, what would we like to do? Obviously the Y2 survey, I think has some real value for you to be able to know. That's from that polling, and scientifically this is what, your community is saying about it. I think that if you have that data, I think it's just a great thing to include in there. Does it have to be in there? No, but it seems like that would probably be a good thing to do, and I think it could be done when we start looking at the timeline of that. So here's a little bit, and again, that's all up for discussion here, what we do and what, all of you collectively think that we ought to do. A couple of things that we do know about doing a search, and that is that you can get out there too early, and then people that may have been interested in it miss that deadline. In Utah, and so we're a little bit unique that way. In fact, we're quite unique that way. And that is that all of our superintendents begin July 1st. And so, we kind of back up from that because that's what everybody is geared to. And most all of the other employees are geared to that July 1st date. And so we know we have that date on one end, and then we've got this survey that Y2's doing on the other end. And so making that perfect fit in there. But when I say that that all can happen and work, is that, again, if we go too early, we miss that. And there's kind of a window in there that seems to be the ideal, and that window happens to be about in the month of March. That 30-day window right there. Now, if we back that up a week or so, I think that would be okay. But we certainly don't want to back it up too much. And here's what typically can happen. When we have a search, and we've done it, some of those, because it's your decision, and so I'll have boards, they'll say to me, okay, just like what you've done, what would be the ideal? And I can tell you that's the ideal, from what I have found, to have that open during the month of March. Seems to work great. Now, we make it work. If we, back into February a little bit, yeah, that will work. We can make that work. So there's a little wiggle room there. But when we start moving that too far, then there are candidates, and I can tell you, in these districts, then there are a lot of candidates that we miss by doing that. I brought with me, because I knew that question would come up, and I'm glad that you raised that question. I look here at the one that we did for Davis School District. And that's pretty much what we have there. We had the position opening began on February 28th, and then it closed on March 25th. And that was a pretty good timeline. So we got that little wiggle room in there, and we can play with that. So whatever that you would like to do that way.
Are you consulting with the other districts that are currently also going to be running their search?
Yeah, so I'm working with all of them,
Right.
and to one degree or another.
And so you probably have a sense of everybody's general time.
Well, I do, and they're all a little different. As you know, right now, Washington School District,
Yes.
Closed theirs, and they had kind of a little weird time in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all know the reason for that one there. So you have Washington. San Juan School District, they're just advertising internally. And that was what they're doing there. Morgan School District has not begun the search there. Salt Lake has not begun. They've asked me to help them as well. Challenge. And so there'll be that district, and then you guys, and then Cache School District. And Cache is going to be about on the same time frame that you guys are. They're going to close sometime about the end of, I think that was kind of what their plan was, is that they would close sometime the end of March.
So March 1st is a Wednesday and March 31st is a Friday. So if we started ours February 27th on Monday and then ended it on the 31st, would that be?
That could work. The only thing that you have is you guys then have spring break that next
We
week.
closed on the
Yeah,
27th.
You might as well just leave it open through spring break.
Yep. And so that's what, to me, if we could squeeze it back the other way, and then we could review applications.
But then we're gone for NSBA that last weekend.
No,
It's actually the weekend
actually-
prior to
it's-
spring break.
It's
Yeah.
spring break, yes, during spring break. That's right.
Well, maybe walk us through the rest of the timeline, just so
Yeah.
we can see what the jobs, how they break down.
Yeah, so anyhow, I think you guys can all see that with your spring break, getting the data, where we're at. And I think, again, if we wanted to move that back a week or so there, we would be okay, if that's what you guys would like to do. And I'm not, there's not a perfect answer here, or, anything that's going to be, absolutely what we need to do. So there's not any of that we need to be thinking about here. It's, okay, so what works in our district? We've got spring break, what makes sense, and then that's what we will do.
The other constraint we're dealing with is on Richard's recommendation that we do not want to announce any later than May 1st, because we do want to give a good amount of time for the new superintendent to be able to plan if they have to move, or if they have, I mean, any of those kinds of things, be able to plan and be ready. So May 1st is the very latest we should announce according to your recommendation,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
that's what we want to get that done by then.
By May 1st. So those are the two constraints we're working with, right? And so the timeline that I sent to everyone on your email that you all have, if we're working within those constraints, what happens is we have an incredibly busy April.
It's really tight. I
It's a
feel.
very tight
Yeah.
timeline in April, and we would just have to know, are we gonna be busy, we're gonna be hopping in April. Otherwise, it's pretty chill the rest of the time because it's just open, or it's, you know, but April would be our time. So moving it back a week, we
Back into
could do
February
that,
sometime?
yeah, like opening it a little sooner, but we do have to remember that we have that spring break week there that we're just really not gonna be able to do much with anyways.
But Richard can vet the candidates during that week, well.
He can, unless we decide we wanna go with a citizens committee to do that.
Well, like, you're still gonna have to do background checks on all of them before the citizens committee
That's
even
right,
meets.
yeah.
Is that right?
You know, typically, we don't.
Okay.
Usually, we just let the Citizens Committee do their thing, and that's item number 7 there, is a discussion about that. And so, sorry, it's hard to get to that timeline that you're asking
that's
about,
all
because
right.
there's so
No, it's
many
okay. I'm
moving
looking at
parts
this. Yeah.
here.
Right.
But I think that you can see why we've kind of come up with those dates. Now, to me, I would really like it if we could back that up into March. And I think Rebecca and Derek and I, you know, because Rebecca said, yeah, well, we'd like to move it up more. Okay, that's the constraints we're looking at. So I think you guys need to go, okay, this is what we'd like to do, and come up with that date. And I'm fine with those. It's just, you know, we don't want to get too far into February and then close too quickly, and then we miss those. But back to the question, let me just finish now with Cache School District. And the plan there then is that they would close towards that end of March. That's what their plan is right now.
So before us. Oh, close the application.
Yeah, they'll be closed about the same time. And actually, there is some value and benefit by running those almost at the same time, both districts. And the value and benefit is that you can have candidates that may hear about Cache, and then they go, you know, and find out, wow, well, Provo's open too. And so then, you know, somebody may go, well, geez, maybe I'd rather go to Provo. And I think, you know, we've made a few comments about that and what people may choose to do, and or apply to both, or whatever it might be. But anyhow, there's some benefit, there's kind of some synergy there by having those opened up, because then more people will hear about it from different sources. So I have yet to see it where that it worked to somebody's disadvantage. And in fact, to have, you know, the same candidate applying for both, and both of them, you know, trying to get that candidate. So we don't see that typically happening, because people that are going to apply for Cache are pretty much a different candidate than what they'd apply here.
And are we pretty sure that Morgan and Salt Lake City are not going to end up on our timeline as well, or is it possible that they may end up on the same timeline?
I think they're all going to be about the same. Salt Lake City, I haven't even met with the Salt Lake Board. They've just asked me over this weekend to come and meet with them probably sometime next week. And so, you know, you guys are clearly in the driver's seat through this process, clearly in the driver's seat. If, you know, wanting to get out ahead of them, and you certainly can do that, we can move that timeline up. But that's a decision you guys need to finalize. But that's where we're at. So we got a little wiggle room, but we don't want to take and get started too quickly there to where that we're going to lose some candidates.
So shall we discuss actual dates right now? Does everyone have? There are some official dates. If you pull up the email I sent you, the public meetings have been officially scheduled for February 6th, 7th, 8th, and 10th. So those are set in stone. So the two dates we need to first look at would be opening up the position and closing the position. So does anybody have any other suggestions besides what's been already suggested? March 1st opening and April 6th closing.
I would suggest moving those dates up. One thing that I didn't feel like one thing I thought we might run into in terms of needing more time is between that due diligence time and when you negotiate a contract and make that offering. Like, I'm going to guess that process takes a little bit of time. And so just so that we're not
really rushing at the
pushing,
end.
I would say let's open it if we can, depending on Y2 and how we can use that investment in the wisest way. But if we can, open on February 27th
Okay.
and close it on March 27th.
Okay?
That would give us
Or-
then that week before spring break to at least do some of the things on the timeline potentially. And just give us a little breathing room on that back end in case something doesn't go exactly on your timeline. Otherwise, you don't want to be in mid-May and
Right.
negotiating stuff, right?
Yeah, we don't want to be there.
So-
No, we're, like Rebecca said, we want to be able to announce by
Yeah.
May 1st.
Yeah, whatever date would maybe give us that opportunity to have that week before spring break to do the next step, which I believe is the citizens committee looking over things, right?
So how much
So
time
how
do
much
you need
time do you
between
need?
closing and having the applications ready for the actual citizens committee to be able to review?
You know, if we do that there, Rebecca, a great question. You know, I think if we could have that citizens committee, if that's what you opt to do, I guess I would probably say then let's close on March 24th, that
24th,
Friday.
Yeah.
And then I will have them ready Monday morning, and
Okay.
then you could have those citizens review those first 3 or 4 days there in of that week in
So
March.
we'd be looking at citizens committee 27, 28, 29, those
Mhm.
3 days?
Have we discussed citizen committee reviews? I don't remember talking
It's
about
part
this.
of the
Right, but I don't remember us talking about,
officially.
This would
in
be
here.
something that we as a board would not be part of, but the citizens would actually look at the applicants prior to us seeing them.
So-
And then they would rank them on how they like them based on specific people that get asked to come be part of that citizens committee.
And
So
who
just
chooses
a
them?
resume?
So, right, so Richard would have the applications ready, and we would choose a citizens committee of about 35 people. And we would go through a process where each board member gets to invite 1, maybe 2 people, depending on what we decide. And then after we all choose our 1 or 2, then we try and fill in the gaps. Okay, we are lacking someone from this neighborhood, or perhaps from this school, or this demographic, or whatever. And we try and fill in the gaps, so we get a very well-rounded citizens committee. And then we give them a rubric, and we give them that 3-day time frame, and we say sometime within these 3 days, we need you to come in. We're gonna need you to look at every application, fill out this rubric, rank them, and then and they do that before we ever see the applications. And then when we get the applications, we are going to get the applications with the rankings based on the citizens committee, so that we can kind of see, so they see it first, and then we see what the citizens think. And according to Richard, he's done this process multiple times and says that it actually works out really well. A lot of times what the citizens usually rank high is typically what we see our higher candidates becoming, like those people become our final candidate. Like he says, it's just a really good system to start.
Is this typical?
Very typical.
Yeah, I spoke with him before.
Yeah, just about every district, you know, uses that process there. Washington School District, they talked about it in a meeting just like this, and they go, nope, we're not going to do that. And then all of them go, you know what, yeah, we like that idea, and they did. And when they started reviewing that, the data from those citizens, I tell you, I met with them last weekend, and the board goes, you know what, we're going to interview these people because that's what the Citizens Committee felt like was the most qualified, and it was the same as what the board felt was most qualified. And so it just is another way to validate the decision of the board and getting that input. And it's, you know, I think in about all of the searches, there's probably only one search that I've done in the past 5 years where they haven't used. And just as an example, in Alpine School District, they had a mayor, they had a legislator. Granite School District, we had a legislator on there, and that legislator made the comment, said, you know what, this was the most meaningful thing that I have done as a legislator or as a citizen of being a part of this. Said this was the greatest honor that I have had, to have somebody ask me to come in and give input on these candidates. And well, I'll tell you, you know, that was just a great response and a great thing. I think you'd be, pleased with the kind of results that you get from it. And it's a data point. I always say this is a data point. Each one of these things are kind of a data point, and it was very helpful. So anyhow, that would be my suggestion, is that you would use a citizens committee and kind of however you configure that. I can tell you this district used a citizens committee the last time. Have them involved. It was a fairly large citizens committee. But I think it's certainly, that's just another way of reaching out. That's kind of that outreach thing of these outreach meetings, of getting that input. So anyhow.
Do you feel like that 3 days is enough time? We're not gonna, I don't know that we will have time that meet to go over the rubrics, because we're all leaving on that Thursday to go to USBA, or Friday, or sorry, NSBA, I apologize. So we could extend that further if we wanted to and give the Citizens Committee 4 days, perhaps even 5 on that week if we wanted. What do you recommend?
And so if you were to do that, Rebecca, the thing we could do is we could go back and close on Monday the 27th. Then we could not have that ready, so the next day, then those citizens could come and be in for 4 days.
So the 28th
the rest of that
So
week.
they just come in on their own time?
On their own time.
So then we
It's
just have
like
to
a
designate
credential
someone
rubric or something.
here for them, and that person's available?
Yes, you would
Yeah.
need somebody from the district right here with them. Typically, it's like in this kind of a room, they come in, you have somebody from the district that's right here. They're the gatekeeper of the applications, and then collecting the rubric. And yes, now we've had some districts that have said, hey, so we don't have everybody coming exactly at the same time, that they have set them up. I can tell you Kimberly Bird and Alpine had that structured and said, okay, this is when you could, come in, so kind of divided them up during the days, but allowed them the flexibility of the time when they would come in.
Or they could set an appointment within that time frame too. We could
Yeah,
do it that way.
and it'll take them, it's going to take them probably 6 or 7 hours to go through all those applications.
And if they have to sign a non-disclosure?
Yes,
Names
thank
are
you.
going to be on the applications, right?
Yeah, so we would actually have them, before they begin, to sign a confidentiality agreement, that they will not disclose the information, and we have not had anybody violate that. I think that, everybody, when you ask them to sign it and say, hey, this is your integrity, we want you to sign that, you're not going to disclose it, and people have been completely honest about it.
And they do it with names, not like name removed or whatever.
Everything's there. They're going to, yep. And then we can talk about how exactly we have them, if you want them to rank them, if you want them just to indicate, they should be invited for an interview, whatever that you would like them to do, to the extent of their assignment there.
Okay,
All right,
so
let's keep going with this.
Looking
time.
at that, the soonest we could meet as a board to review those applications would be April 10th, would be the Monday after spring break. Does everybody happen to be available on that Monday? Okay, and then how much time do we need between our evaluation to actually start first round of interviews?
I think if you could meet, and I think you'll need to meet and decide on that day, then I think that we would probably want to have, probably 2 or 3 days there, and then we would begin the interviews. And so I think.
The 10th is that
maybe
Monday, so the
Thursday,
13th is that Thursday, so we could potentially start the 13th and the 14th.
We have board meeting on Tuesday on the 11th. So we could essentially couple it with that, so we don't have to pull 2 meetings. It's just 1 extra day.
Got it. So maybe we should combine it and meet on the 11th. Is everyone okay with that?
So we do our evaluation on the 11th.
On the 11th.
I'd rather have them separate, because I already have a lot on Tuesdays.
Well, how long is it going to, if it's going to take them 6 hours, it's going to take us 6 hours, right?
Possibly. Richard wanted us to know, and you can help me with this, that we're probably going to realistically see about max 12 candidates, right?
Yep, that's
So
what
there'll
I
be
think that we need to
about
have as a
12
target.
We're going to have to go through and look at the rubrics and evaluate and decide who we want to have come in for our first round of interviews.
And Rebecca, here's something that Gina has brought up there that we could do in this situation. You know, I think when you guys come back from NSBA, I can send you electronically all of those applications. Then you guys could be going through those, so when you come and meet on the 10th, if that's the day then we set,
Then we're ready.
then you guys will have been able to review through some of them. If you can, if not, then you finish it up that night. But I think we could certainly get that in your hands. You know, just as soon as you get back, we'd have it ready to go.
That is our spring break week, and I'm planning to be out of self-service on purpose.
I'm gonna, you'll send it to you anyhow.
I would appreciate
Yeah.
having them early.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Nonetheless, I think it's a good idea.
yeah, so we can certainly get those to you and be able to review them. If, you know, while you're laying on the beach, Rebecca, you could look at those if you
I'll
wanted
be
to.
hiking through the sand.
Okay. Anyhow, that would just be something, if you want to think about that one,
Okay.
Melanie and Rebecca, and then just let me know if you'd like that. That'll be very easy to do.
So first round of interviews then would
April
be
13th and 14th is a Thursday and a Friday. Everybody,
Those are interviews or?
first round of
Yeah.
interviews for their first.
So are we
Monday
involved in those?
determine who-
Yes.
So
Yes.
Monday.
So Monday the 10th, we would determine who we want to interview, and then we interview them on the 13th.
I'm
Is there
keeping track
anything
of this and
on
can
the-
send it back out to all of you if
Can you
you
look
if
at
you're
anything on the district calendar on the 13th and the 14th?
Rebecca, let me
Yes.
just mention one thing, since that's come up when Gina said, you know, is that just, you know, us, or however that question was asked there. So at that point there, when we start those interviews, the ones that are in those interviews is just the Board of Education. That's who it is. You know,
Would we have Derek in that?
you know, once in a while, they will have the business administrator there, but most of the time, not. It's usually just the board. You know, we go back to that document, the first time I met with you, that, you know, about the statute which, you know, says that the Board of Education shall appoint. And so, you know, we've gathered lots of data from the, you know, these input meetings, and then we've had, you know, the stakeholder committee reviewing them, and so we have got lots of input from the community. And then it comes to that point that, you know, you're the ones who were elected to make that decision. So that would be that first round of interviews, and then it will dictate from there if we have another round or we do site visits, whatever that we do from there.
And Richard, would you make a recommendation to us out of, like, let's say we get 12 applicants, how many would you say we would choose to interview in our first round? What's typical? Are we going to be interviewing 5, 4? I have no idea.
Typically, boards will interview 5 candidates. It's just interesting how that works,
Okay.
but it's usually there's about 5 that become the top candidates. And so then the board will spend the time interviewing those for about an hour, a little break in between, and basically you've got a full day
Okay.
of interviews.
So for anyone who was here when we interviewed Derek, I would assume it's a very similar format, right? Where we sit and we each have our certain questions and we just go for about an hour.
Yeah, and I think, you know, and you guys can talk about maybe how that would work and flow with asking the questions, maybe when we get down to that point there of setting that.
Okay.
Okay, we haven't made too big of a dent in this agenda, have we?
Well, let's keep going. The 13th, if we interview on the 13th and 14th, then we can open up for site visits the week of the 17th through the 21st. And move that up, or second interviews, site visits, etc. So that moves that up a whole week.
Yep. And I think that's how I would leave that, Rebecca, is just, you know, that it could be just those things that you mentioned. It may be all of them, and it may be, you know,
Right.
one of them or none. If there's a candidate that rises clearly to the top and we're ready to make a decision there. So if we could, let's go down to the outreach meetings. These are some decisions that you guys need to make. You know, there's some dates there that we found that, you know, could work, and what Rebecca's recommended there, and that'd be the number of those meetings, and
So we have solidified those. So
What
can
are
I?
the dates?
So can I? That's not on our calendar yet, but that's pretty brand new. So we're looking at February 6th, 7th, and 8th, All three of those dates, 6:30 to 7:30. The 6th will be at Dixon Middle School, the 7th will be at Timpanogos Elementary, the 8th will be at Provo High, and the 10th at 2:15 to 3:15 at Centennial Middle School, specifically for staff input. So those dates have been set.
And so we have.
I'm just gonna make something I noticed, that all of it except for the parent or the faculty is all on the west side of the campus.
I wasn't in charge of scheduling.
So if we can get one of those
On the east side,
Yeah.
just so everyone feels it's accessible.
And the intention was to have it one at the one at Centennial, and so that way it was at both, but when it got scheduled, I don't know if there was something that came up that night, and that's why they scheduled it there, but I can look into it and see if we can just still switch it.
And I think if there's no schools available, then we just make that
I
known to the
agree.
public.
We
But
just-
I noticed the same thing, I'm like, down the
Yeah.
street, down the street, down the street, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was, my email ask in the email was, can you schedule it this way, and which was have Centennial be one of the locations for that. The reason it got scheduled there, I haven't had a chance to ask even, so I'm happy to look into it and switch that if it's possible.
Will you just keep us?
I think it's fine to leave Centennial, just
Yeah.
switch Timpanogos for Provo High, right, if
Yeah.
you could, but I don't know, might be
And
because
maybe
that
we
was
don't
what's
even need to do
available.
a secondary, maybe we'll do it just at Rock Canyon, right?
Yeah.
At the media center or something, so.
The gym can go up.
Okay, the last thing then, if we can, Melanie, if we're okay for just a
Yep.
couple more minutes here, and that would be the agenda for those outreach meetings. And so I think as a board, we need to talk about, you need to talk about and say, hey, here's what we would like to do at those outreach meetings. And I think there are several things that, you could do that I think would make those very successful, and I know you guys have had some ideas as you've talked about that. But that would be, I just need to know what you have on as far as an agenda and idea for that, and how we will handle that. The most important thing is we just want to make sure that we are totally organized. And when we go there, we know what we're going to do and accomplish, and how we're going to go about doing that, I think is critical. The question always comes up about, well, so, does the whole board go? Who conducts those meetings? And I think, as far as the conducting, you guys, can work on that, figure that out. But I think as far as, the board members going there, we've had times when board members have come, all of them. We've had times when there's just been, 3 board members, in your case here, that have gone and have been to those meetings. The only danger that you have, and I've kind of softened on this a little bit as far as, having everybody go there. The danger you have is that when you're there, you can have people come and corner you, and then they get you off of the subject. We get off onto some other issue that maybe they have and get you diverted from what we're trying to do. But the purpose of those meetings is extremely important, and we want their input to that. And hopefully we don't get, distracted or derailed and over onto some other issue that's not related. So that's the danger of it. I know, some of the experiences that we've had there have just been really great. Lots of great input, and have had, very good attendance at those meetings. And so, we just need to then again make sure that we're organized and we know exactly what we're doing there, and that we say the same message at each one of those meetings. So how we do that, I'll just leave that to you guys, and then you can tell me. Obviously, I can give you input and everything else that you would like that way. But anyhow, we could just wait until we get that done. And fortunately, with those dates, Rebecca, that we've got there, which I gave input to those dates, just so you know, we've got just a little bit of time to get that agenda, kind of fleshed out here. So I think we're in a great place with those meetings, and you guys can get that nailed down as to what we do. So, if there's some questions or whatever.
I just want to put in, at one of those, probably the one on the west, I would love to have, we don't have to have the discussion now, but something where Spanish speakers could have translation.
Absolutely. So that was one of the things I had on my list to ask was which of those dates we wanted to do in Spanish, because we had talked about doing a Spanish one. So that would leave 2 English, 1 Spanish, and 1 staff. And so I wanted to ask the board if we had a preference on which one is done in Spanish.
I would guess that most of the Spanish speakers are in the west, central. There is some on the south. Anyway, I would say west would be, so central location, Dixon or Timpanogos, whichever one we keep would probably be the better one. I would assume anyone can put in their input.
So maybe we need to wait until we can see if we can reschedule one of the locations, and then decide which one we want to have
I would
in Spanish.
suggest that when we switch one to the east side, that it not be that Tuesday night, because all the elementary band students are coming together at Tempe that night with all the middle and high school band. Like, that's a big thing for that entire side of town. So
not the
not
seventh,
Tuesday the
Tuesday.
7th,
Okay,
please.
thank you for
Yeah.
that.
I need to ask a quick question about the faculty one on the 10th. That's going to be during school time. Would that be okay that they're using that time to go during PD? Like normally that would be PD time. The staff one is on a Friday, so students have already been let out at that point. Are we okay that they can go and miss that instead of going and doing PD time?
That was the intention.
PLC time, thank you.
I feel like it's an important enough decision that I'm okay with it, as long as everyone else feels okay with it.
I definitely think we need teacher input,
Yeah.
and I think
No, I
anybody
agree.
during
I
the
just want to make sure
contracted
that
time,
teachers
time.
are okay, that
That's
we've given them the permission to do that.
So when they'll ask. So I
Right,
think it's
and
good for us
that's
to have it
why
done.
I'm having
Right,
that conversation.
Yeah.
So,
On the real quickly on the format of our public meetings, I talked briefly about it at in our last discussion. I'm going to remind everyone about it real quick, and then what I'll do is I'll send out an email with that format in it and get suggestions or changes or requests for anything. So the format, the general outline of that meeting we have is that we'll have a board member do a short welcome, and that's where the board member's involvement will be, is right at the beginning with a quick welcome. From there, we'll have Richard take over and conduct the meetings. We'll start with a quick video presentation about the district, which Shauna and Caleb are already working on and have gone through a first draft and have received some feedback and are working on a second draft now. After that, we'll have an explanation of the search process so people understand how the actual process has happened and will happen from then on out. And then after that, we'll allow access to a QR code, which will direct people to the survey that they can take, which, as Derek was mentioning earlier, we can piggyback off of the Y2 survey if we want, after we see those questions and decide if we want to use it there. Or if people feel like rather than taking a survey and feel like that's too informal, we will direct them to where they can do some small group discussions with Richard if they want to kind of discuss that more in person. So I'll send that on an email probably tomorrow, and then we can decide if anybody has any suggestions or changes they want to make to that.
okay, keep going.
I think I'm done. I think yeah,
Okay.
we've probably covered enough there. We certainly have covered all the important things that I think that we needed to get moving on. And obviously, having those community meetings, those outreach meetings, and getting that put together. So that input back to Rebecca on that from you as board would be really valuable. So we get that put together and kind of a timeline, all of those things. So that's, and you can see that's why I've listed it that way. It's probably the most important thing on there. And number 6, that's really a staff thing. We just need to get the application, the employment application, and that would go on the website there. So we would we'd like to have that. We don't need that, of course, immediately in the next couple of weeks.
Does it go on USBA's website or ours?
We want it on both websites. Mm-hmm. And that's where we would direct people to fill out that employment application, would be to.
And is that something your department does, Jason? Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
I think the
Okay,
rest
so
of
just
us.
to recap, see you by Friday,
Yes.
right? And then what Rebecca's gonna send us about the agenda probably by Friday as well.
Rebecca, thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
all of your work.
Yes,
You,
it's a lot of work.
and Derek, you too, spent lots of time on this. So, thank you very much, and we'll just look forward as we continue to move on here. And probably the next time we'll be together is for those community meetings then, and whoever's coming, and we can talk about that. Whatever you decide you want to do, and then we can talk about how to handle it, make sure it happens.
Okay.
Okay?
Great.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you,
for
Richard.
coming.
Well, thank you, and we're just excited to get going here now.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll just step out then unless you've got
I think
any
we're
other
good.
questions.
Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much.
Okay, sounds
Thank you,
good.
Richard. Okay. All right, next we're going to move on to our discussion of board leadership, committee assignments, graduation, and speaking assignments. So, it's already been 2 years, and time has come to nominate. This is not where we actually do the actual nominations, but we can have a discussion about who we would like to be the next board leadership. And what will happen in the business meeting, Derek will, after he gives us our oath of office, Derek will then open it up for nominations, and then from there we will then have a vote. Once the vote has happened for the president, I will then move, assuming I'm not president anymore, and then hand the reins over to whoever is going to be president. So, and then
The gavel, right?
the gavel will go to the new president. So
So Derek, you'll
He
see the
will-
nomination.
he will ask for the nominations, and then he will conduct the vote. And then after that, is it the new president that will conduct the vice president nominations and votes?
Okay. And then the new president will conduct the rest of the meeting.
Yes. So,
I know that.
so I've worked really closely with Rebecca, and she's been in a lot of the agenda meetings and seen how things have been running, and I think she would make a great new president for the board. So that would be my recommendation.
I agree. I mean, just look how organized you were with all the superintendent stuff. You're like, this is what we talked about, and here we are, and I think you've got a lot of really good skills to lead out. If you have the capacity and are willing.
I'm totally willing. I would be honored to even be nominated. That would be really, really humbling and terrifying, to be honest, but also really exciting. But I feel like I've gone along with Melanie on a lot of the ride and done a lot of, kind of seen a lot of what she's done, and I feel like a lot of the extra time I already kind of put in alongside Melanie, so I'm not worried about the time commitment. I know there would still probably be extra. I know you put in more than me, but I already feel like I'm already doing a lot of extra, so I'm not worried about the time commitment. It's really if you guys have enough confidence in me to move forward. So.
Okay. Any other suggestions or? Okay, that one. Vice president.
I would say that I would be happy and excited to have Jennifer Partridge nominated as vice president along with me, just based on experience and a steady side and all the good things that she does and her endless amounts of energy and capacity. I would never doubt that she can handle the time commitment or the extra that comes along with it as well. So I would be in favor of nominating Jennifer for vice president. If you feel like you
I would be happy
want
to do that if that's what people want.
I do not have the capacity, or probably the mental ability at this point to do either of those. So thank you for not making me do it.
I first and seconded that.
Since we're so new, I'm happy to be here to learn. One thing I would say is I feel like it would be great if, as leadership opportunities are coming up, I know we talked about this a little once before, but that anyone here who has an interest in some of those opportunities if we just kind of say, here are the things, say what you're interested in, and spread those out so that, because I think there is a lot of great, like, just Terry having an idea, coming up with that, like, she has a lot of good ideas that we want to get in a timely way. I've watched over the last few years a lot of board meetings and seen great things coming from different people's skill sets, and I think we can take better advantage of everyone's leadership abilities. So maybe just being really open about what the opportunities are and letting people say, yeah, I actually would really want to be involved in that, which it sounds like is what the committees are anyway, really, but there might be things beyond just those committees where you could loop in those of us who, don't have the time or the experience, or just because 2 people only get chosen out of 7. Do you know what I'm saying? Just so that everyone feels like we're really part of and developing ourselves as leaders, but also contributing in the best way we can.
So Rebecca and I just happened to both choose the same class at the conference that really talked about personality styles and learning about each other's strengths. And I just left that meeting going, we want to make sure on our board, we all come with different things we can contribute, right? And how can we maximize everybody's strengths and put people, whether it's committee assignments or other opportunities, where we all have an opportunity to make our board and our district, we're a team, how can we make us the best that we can be? And that is with open communication and with finding the right places for everybody. And so if I have the opportunity to serve, that's kind of how I'm coming at it.
And truth be told, I have a job. I know. An actual real job.
Yeah.
And I may just need extra support. So I love the idea of delegating more and making sure everyone's involved, and especially in places where they're well suited for it. I have different talents than other people, so I love that suggestion.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen those of you who aren't the new two. Sorry, I'm sure you do this also, but I've seen people get stuff done. I've seen Gina get stuff done and Terry get stuff done, and I've watched you guys through all of it. So I just think the more we leverage each other's strengths, the better we're going to be. 100%.
And I want to segue to Gina. Do you want to talk about what you brought up in the email about possible different committees? But
I didn't know if that was part of this discussion or another.
Well, what I want to do is, that is a big undertaking. That's not going to happen tonight.
Right.
So, but what I do want to do is I want to validate that it's a good idea.
Okay.
And that I think we should look forward to it, but we should fill out what we have right now as a board. But whoever the new board leadership, look at maybe rearranging how the committees are assigned, and then we can come back and look at the assignments.
Well, and I think we need to actually revamp what committees we have.
I think
we need to have 3 board members. So I think it's a whole big thing. We don't have to do it now. I do have something I want to say about leadership as well, but we don't need to do that now. But I do think, we can assign to what we have now, but I feel like if it is you two, your jobs will be easier if we have committees up and running a little better. We don't have a finance committee. We don't have a policy committee. As far as I know, we don't.
No.
And that is almost like, I was going to say breach of contract, but that is not the correct term. But
those are
we should have the 3 that finance, policy, and I can't remember the other one. But there are some that we really need to have those, and so we don't need to do that today. But as we're giving out assignments, I would really love for us to be thinking ahead and thinking about how we're going to make committees work and how we're going to get the training necessary and for everybody. I recognize this is a huge undertaking. My guess is at this time next year, maybe we'll have our heads above water with committees, but we need to start.
Yeah.
No, and that's why I want to validate that that's just not going to happen today.
I agree. I do have something I want to say about leadership.
Yeah.
So I am happy to work with the 2 of you. I will tell you that my first year on the board was not great, and I'm not here to blame anybody or whatever. I think a lot of it was me not understanding and knowing how to use my voice, right? So I feel better now because I know how to use my voice, and I can just yell at you and just call you. I didn't feel like I could my first year on the board. I felt like communication was very unclear. It was very lacking. I feel like we have made a lot of improvement, though. I feel like we have made leaps and bounds of improvement, and I would just like to encourage that, encourage us to continue that. because I don't want these two to come on and not feel like they understand what's happening. The other thing I would like to encourage is that we set the agenda. I don't know, I'm learning, but it took me a year to figure out who set the agenda, and I feel like it wasn't always us. And so I would like to push for us to be looking at it. Not that other people can't put things on it, but I feel like we need to be firmly in charge of the agenda, and I don't know if it's always been like that. And having said that, I had a struggle my first year. I look forward to the next 2 years, and I will happily sustain the two of you if that's who it ends up being, or whoever it is. I will happily sustain you. But I do have a voice now, so I will be calling you more often and telling you what I think.
I love hearing.
Okay. So I'm just going to go through this committee assignments that we have currently, and then throughout the year, we can revamp that. And maybe that could even be a new committee we start tonight as the committee revamping committee.
It's for everything.
So I'm just going to start. USDA Board of Directors is elected, and that's Jennifer, and you're in your second year.
Are we looking at your spreadsheet?
Yes, the
Okay.
spreadsheet that I shared with all of you.
Spreadsheet.
So, and then USDA Region Delegate was elected at the conference, and that was Rebecca. And each district also gets to have a USDA delegate from each district. I was at last year, this is the August USDA Delegate Assembly that we did in August, and the dates have already been set for that. I think that is August 18th and 19th. And anybody's welcome to come, but we will just have one person who's an actual voting member. So I would like to, Gina, you had mentioned some that you would like to do that. Are you interested?
I would be happy to. I'm also know that there's other people, and I'm involved in some other legislation.
We can also do an alternate as well.
Okay.
So in
Terry,
case you
would you
can't
want to
make it.
do that? Be the
Weren't
USDA delegate?
you, when we were doing all those voting, what were
We did come
you
up with alternates.
elected to?
So that's an alternate.
I was
if
not.
she
Oh,
can't
an
vote.
alternate.
for the region.
It's an alternate
Oh.
for
So
a
it's
for this-
region
for the board.
if somebody from Murray or I can't remember who was,
Or
if Rebecca can't go, then they'll reach out to you to be the voting person.
Do you want to do that for our district person
Well-
at USDA?
No, because there's something else.
Okay,
Why do you want to do
got
it in
it.
April?
Okay.
This is August.
I
This
wanna
would
go
be
watch.
August.
I'm a learner.
Okay.
But
So how would you feel
My
about being the
conflict.
alternate in case Gina can't go?
Sure.
Okay.
Do you want me guys to continue?
Sure.
Okay.
That'd be great. Okay, Adult Education Advisory Board, you're saying it doesn't
It
exist?
doesn't exist. I never met.
Okay. Anybody?
No need for it.
Okay, so then we probably should just strike that one out and not even worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Provo Council PTA, Jennifer, I want to give opportunity to those who have already been on it if they want to stay on that one as well. Are you still wanting to stay on the?
So I'm happy to. I know we also have a lot of former PTA presidents who might want to go back.
I'd be happy to
So they meet, there's 2 monthly meetings. One's their executive committee, which
Okay.
is usually it's the second Tuesday, so it's going to be the same day as this meeting.
Got it.
And it's an hour and a half, and then it's usually the next week that they meet with their presidents for that hour and a half.
And usually.
If you have to leave early for that one, you give a board report to, well, not board report, but you let them know kind of what's happening in our district and answer questions near the beginning. So if you would have to leave after
That's
that,
with
you
the
could.
principals as well, right?
Every other month the principals come with them, but every month and so usually that's 2 people on that one. So if 2 new people want to go, I can step aside, but I would be happy to keeping one of them.
I think that's great. Let's have Meg be the main one, and Jennifer, you can be the backup or whatever. You can both go too. So.
During the BC work, right?
I'm working on.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so May.
All right, CAPS. That's one that I've been on. Rebecca was on it too when we were just getting it off the ground. And now that it's off the ground, we're kind of more of an advisory board that we meet, and it's more, we meet it in the new skin building, and we meet with others, people we meet with some of the principals, and we also meet with some of the companies that help, give projects to the CAPS kids. So it's been a great opportunity to get to know and see what's going on with the CAPS. I've been on CAPS since the ground level. And I'm happy if there's somebody who would like to take this one and have an opportunity to see what's going on with CAP. It's a fantastic program. I'm so excited that we have it in our district. This one does usually meet, it's usually twice a quarter.
So it's like every other month?
Yeah, it depends. It's like once we get it going in September, and then they'll usually have one in October and November, and then maybe the showcase, like type of thing. So anyway, if there's somebody in that one has been meeting in the afternoon, so that might work better for somebody like you, Lisa, if you're interested.
Yeah, unless someone else wants to. I mean, there
Are you
are other
wanting
things
to
I'm
keep it?
interested in.
I'm happy to keep it, but I'm also happy to spread and let other people have an opportunity to see what CAPS is about, because I've been doing it since I think I've been on the board. So if there's somebody else that would like to do it.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I would take it back if no one else wanted
No,
it.
I'm happy to do it. I'm
Okay,
really
Lisa, why
interested
don't
in
you
it.
go ahead and do that one, because it also fits with your schedule to do
Yeah.
it. And it's not a lot of time commitment. It's usually just an hour-long meeting, so. Okay. The NTech board, I actually would like to do this one if it's possible. So with my experience in industry and being on CAPS and things like that, I think I would be a good asset to that one. So, okay.
I know, Gina, you were kind of,
Are you
are you
interested in that,
okay?
Gina?
Yeah, I'm good. No, she's good.
You sure?
Okay.
Yep.
Unless you want it.
No.
Okay. I don't even know how often or when they meet or anything, but.
McKay made it sound intense, so you can have it.
Hey, I did COVID safety meetings.
That's true.
Anything's possible after that. Okay, all right, PEA and Provo Ed Support Professional Liaison Representatives. Do you want to speak just a little bit what a board member would be doing in the PEA? Like what
The
liaison, like what a board member would be doing inside those meetings?
Yeah, you bet. So for the liaison meeting, we meet twice a year, and it's kind of, the first one is the state of the district, where we meet and discuss what's happened to that point in the year. That's usually October when we hold that meeting. We have both PEA and PESP at the meeting. We have the directors from the school district attend, or assistant superintendents. And we just discuss how things have gone to that point, and if there's any concerns that either of the two associations would like to discuss with a board member present. Then for the meeting that happens in the spring, usually Derek is the main show for that, because he does a presentation on where we are with the legislative session as far as funds that'll be available to the school district and what that might look like for the budget for the coming school year, and looking at what raises or different opportunities will be coming the way of the associations and their members in that meeting. So that's the second meeting, and again we have the associations present, and they have an opportunity to kind of give us any feedback if there's other items they want to discuss or address during those meetings.
All right, so Jennifer and Gina, you guys have both been on it before. Do you want to stay on that one?
I'm
Or
happy
is
to allow,
there-
so I
or-
think that this might, I know that these two both work, and the meeting's usually in the afternoon, and it's only twice a year, so it might be a good fit for you guys. And then to get to meet the liaisons, I'm happy to give up, well, whatever everybody wants, but that might be a good one.
I'm fine to not do it. That's fine. I've enjoyed it, but yeah. I think
Yeah.
You'd like it.
Yeah, sure.
So, Lisa, May?
Okay. Community Council Advisor, this is the one that works with Alex Judd, who will hand us our school board land trust, and that we have to just approve them and get them back to us. And it may be during land trust, when we do the land, what is it, Alex? The land trust, the meeting.
It's called training.
I am.
It's training. Yeah.
Already been a long day. Trust lands meeting, I know what it is. The trust lands meeting, you may have to just give a presentation, a little short one about what the rubric is and what's expected when it comes to the board. So, I know Rebecca, you've been doing it. Do you want to stay
I'm
doing
happy
it?
to keep it. It's something that is easy to work with my schedule, where my schedule is a little bit more difficult, so I liked having this one. I'm
That's
happy to do
easier
it.
for you because you're gonna have other stuff.
And it's a pretty easy assignment, and Alex just emails, like it happened today, he said, hey, these guys have a really quick amendment, do you approve? And if it's big enough and I feel like the whole board needs to see, then I bring it to the board, but I haven't needed to so far, everything's been pretty simple, so it's just quickly approving some quick amendments too, which happens every once in a while.
So Rebecca?
I'm fine keeping it, if no one else really, really wants it.
I really wanna work with Alex. I'll find another thing.
Oh, I've got one coming up for you.
Maybe not.
All right.
Call my bluff.
All right, safety committee. So I've been on the safety committee. Thankfully, the COVID safety committee meetings are done. They've kind of been they were kind of moved into the safety committee meeting, but we don't talk about COVID much anymore, thank heaven. And anyway, this one meets once a month at 10 a.m. in the PDC. And anyway, this is one that if there's somebody who would really like to talk and learn more about the safety things that we're going around in the district. I've been on it for a long time. Terry?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay.
I know how to extricate a person from a
A car that's been smashed?
No, I was gonna say I used to work for Cirque du Soleil, so I know how to.
As a trainer?
Yes.
Wow.
There you surprise me every meeting.
Can we have a talent show for board members?
Leaders. I can tape an ankle in a minute and a half. Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Sex ed, human sexuality. Gina, you've been doing that one. Do you want to keep doing that one? You meant in there that maybe you're having a second?
I don't know what I said, but one board member is enough.
Yeah.
So one board member is enough. I enjoy doing it. Every time I say this, I feel weird. It's right down my alley.
Does it fit with your schedule?
It definitely fits with my schedule, but I'm also, it is interesting to see. It's interesting to see the parents and see the parents asking questions. So if somebody else would like that opportunity.
And when do they typically meet? Is it
They meet, it's like in the afternoon once, so it's usually at about, I think usually like 3-ish, or maybe it's on a Friday, I can't remember, but it's in the afternoon after school because Lindsay Backus runs it, and so she has to be that, so it's in the afternoon. So if one of you two are interested in this, I'm fine, I'm happy to, it's very, there's not a lot required of the school board member. I do answer some questions, but it's pretty.
I mean, it's something where if you kept it, but like, oh, I'm interested in checking, could come as well or not? Could I come as well? Like, can another board member join, or if it's like you're on the committee, or just?
As long as there's 3 or less, then it's.
That's
I
Lindsay.
think 3 or less, anyone can attend.
So
I think
if you're interested, we can add you to it.
Yeah, I'm definitely
As a nurse, it would be great to have
Okay.
your.
But I don't,
We have
I
both
think your
of you.
expertise is
Oh, no, no,
helpful.
no.
I mean,
No,
I don't know, I
it's
think
not.
it is. I think you're
I'll tell you right now,
helpful.
it's not. I mean, I have expertise, but it's not really. I mean, I actually think, to be honest, we're always asking the nurses because it's the nurses that have to, like, do the presentations and help with the presentation. So actually, I think you would be better. And how about she's it and I'm the alternate?
I like it. Okay. But I don't want to take
Is
it
Alex
from
involved?
You can be.
Okay.
Is Alex your new Nate?
I
Are
don't
we sending
know.
all the emails? We're
You
sending
think
all the
snarky?
emails to Alex now?
I don't think so.
We're not sending things to Nate yet.
Right, there's no more Nate.
I tried,
Nate
he came
email,
back
so
and
now
I was
it's- yeah, find a new target.
Alex J. Provo.
Oh, that's right. I am. Then you're my new name. Alex J. Send your emails to Alex J. Anyone who has any issues.
All right, moving on. We had one that was called Data Advisors. It never really happened. It didn't really meet. But with the new Domo coming on board, it might be good to be able to see what data is coming around. Is there somebody who's interested in data? Lisa?
I'll do it.
And Terry. And if you need a third one, put me on as an alternate.
Put you as the
or third.
alternate?
Yep.
If you want to do that, because
No.
I actually am interested in the audit committee as well, so I would be happy to swap you.
That works for me.
You wanna do that?
Yeah, I'll do data, and then you can do audit.
Okay.
So, I was on the audit, and I've done it for a couple of years. We meet about 2 times a year, and we actually have people from the outside too that are part of the audit from the community. We've had somebody from Zions Bank, and we've had a parent, and those people we go in and we talk to. We tell Devin and Derek couple things that they should be looking for, and they go and investigate it. We actually had the UVU students, UVU students do an audit for us this year, and I thought it was great, and I don't know if they'll be redoing that again. But anyway, it doesn't take a whole lot of time, but it's a good way to kind of see a little bit of the detail of what's going on financially in the district. Did I say that right, Derek?
Yeah.
Anybody else besides Lisa?
Yeah,
I
I'm
will,
doing it by
I will
myself.
do it still, because I actually enjoy that.
I was gonna say, the data people.
I mean,
Not
I
me.
don't know if the state law requires.
Really?
Yeah, I don't
The
remember.
data for the audit.
No, the audit committee, I mean, that's required by law, but
Yeah.
I don't know how many people are.
Well, we can have max of
required.
3
Yeah,
on
so
that one.
max of 3.
So
Yeah, I don't
no
know
one
what
else
a
is jumping at
minimum.
it, so you,
We put
Lisa, and anyone else
and if there's
who-
somebody that really would like to do it later on, feel free to reach
Or
out.
if we
I would be
determine there
interested. I
has
don't
to
know
be
if I,
3.
how if I
We usually meet in the afternoon for that one too.
Yeah, I could do that.
So Lisa, Melanie, and Meg?
Yep. All right, Terry, Joint Educator Evaluation Committee.
It's still a law, so.
You want to keep doing it?
Yeah, they only really meet once a year, and until the state legislature decides we don't need to do this.
What is it exactly?
The last time, all we did was go over the policy and update it.
Policy for evaluating teachers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's like JCO for hospitals. Joint.
All right. Provo School District Foundation. Everyone, don't jump at once. Lisa wants to do it.
I
Push
think
out!
I want Lisa on there. Yeah,
So-
I think Lisa would be great.
Lisa would be great.
Gina, in some of the notes from like when we switched stuff, I think we had put you on there, but.
So it was,
do
and
you
then
want-
I had too many,
And
and
so
so
then Nate did it.
Oh,
Nate
okay.
picked it up.
Do you wanna be on?
I'm
Do
good.
I have too many?
Terry, do you want to
Take
do
me
it?
off.
Because you
Don't
show
let
up
me
at
do
a
too
lot of
many.
the foundation things too.
Did I?
You
The
don't, but
golf
you show up, you
tournaments
come to
and-
like the foundation, golf foundation.
All
I
board
get an
members.
email, someone says show
Yeah.
up, so I
We
showed
want
up.
everybody to
It's
come
a
to our
once a
next
month
meeting, and it's typically the same Tuesday as board meeting.
Recently, they've moved it to Fridays.
Okay, cool.
Fridays at noon.
I
I don't
used
know
to
if
do
it's
it
gonna stay there, but
right
for you,
here.
that's better.
I can do Fridays.
Yeah.
But it depends on how long their meetings go.
They're an hour.
I know they
Because-
really want someone from the west because they never have anyone from the west. So if you
Yeah.
wanted to do that, that might be good.
Because I have crossing guard at 1:30, so on
Right,
Fridays.
and you could leave.
That's
And
a
they-
good reason to leave.
Okay.
Okay, go help the kids cross.
And you're on safety, crossing. Okay, if you guys need like an alternate, call me. I've been going since I was.
Do you want to
PTA
keep doing
forever.
that? Because I'm new and I have a learning
Let's,
curve.
let's
So why
wait
don't
and
you
see how things shake out, but I think you would be a good asset to them.
Okay. Previously the interagency, so it's called Allied Agency Committee now. Gina, do you want to stay on that one?
Just what it is or what?
What is it, and if you want to stay on it?
So we have a bunch of different communities, basic community, people from the different agencies, community agencies who have dealings with the district, such as Wasatch Behavioral Health, State Hospital, Division of Juvenile Justice. We had Judge Bartholomew on our last call. And we basically talk about, one of the things we've been talking about lately is how do we handle with the attendance. Like, we don't have anything with attendance. So we ask DJJ and we ask the courts and we ask. So it's not too time consuming. It's very organized. This is probably the most organized committee that I participate in. I would love to keep this one, but if someone really wants to do it, they can. They actually didn't send me the stuff at first because they're like, well, you're a board member, you're too busy. And I'm like, I really want to be here. I know half the people on there because of my work in the community. So this is one that I really love doing. I would love to keep it, but I also recognize that other people may want the opportunity.
Well,
Sold to Gina.
play to your
All right.
strengths, yeah? Put everybody where their
All right.
strengths are.
Kindness Committee, I think we had Jennifer and Terry on this year, right?
I was on it, and I
Yeah.
didn't think like I needed to be on it. It's really a one person, yeah.
We always will invite anyone who wants
You wanna stay
That would be the
doing-
kind thing to do.
Are you gonna continue doing the, Jennifer, are you gonna continue kind of committee?
I don't think I have a choice, Alex, do I?
Nope.
But if someone else wants to join us, our meeting schedule's kind of sporadic, I can't say, but it's usually like early afternoon that we
Gina, it's your
meet.
chance to work with Alex.
That's what I was saying, Gina, there's a chance to work with Alex.
Did I say Alex? I meant Jason. I know.
Okay, we'll keep Jennifer on kindness. All right, moving along, Diversity and Equity Council, Gina, you've been doing that one?
Yes, and I'm happy to continue doing it. I also think there are other people who have interest in this. I participate anyway as a Pacific Islander parent, so if somebody else wants to pick
If
this
there's
up.
another board member.
I've
it's
been
not-
interested. I think
All right, let's
I've
put
been
Meg on that one.
participating as a
Yeah,
as a
she's
community
good on it,
member as
yeah.
well.
Perfect.
And I'll probably still continue to show up.
All right, Rebecca, you've been doing communications. Is this one that takes a lot of your time still?
No, it's not incredibly time consuming, but I actually enjoy it, so I'm happy to do it again. I would like to keep it unless anyone else feels like they are dying to do it, but hopefully you guys have felt like I've been able to give you good updates via email and whatnot after we meet.
Yes,
and
they've been helpful.
Okay.
So this is one, Legislative Government Relations Committee. So this is the newer one, and Jennifer and Terry, you guys want to stay on that one?
Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
And then
We're still figuring out
yeah,
what we're
and now that
doing.
Gina's
I'm interested.
Okay,
now
let's
that
put Gina
Gina's
on
been
that.
doing this at this other, it would be very important
Perfect.
for us
Let's
to
put her
I had
on
my
that.
eye on that one, just because I'm kind of doing this already, so
Mhm.
might as well.
Okay. We had a TSSA committee. Derek, is that something that's still needed?
We will need it probably this upcoming year if we're gonna relook at the plans and develop a district-wide plan and have school plans also.
Okay.
there.
So should we just wait and see on that one?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't even know what this one is.
Yeah, I
National
looked it
Field-
up and I wasn't quite clear.
Yeah.
I think McKay said we don't need to do it anymore.
Okay, we're moving on. Shoreline Middle School construction, Terry, myself, and Jennifer have been on that one, and I think that one's just on a needs basis. So we'll just keep that one as is. And then Wasatch, it was Jennifer, McKay, and I. Meg, can we put you on that one? Okay. And then Policy Review Committee, is there somebody, I think it would be good to have 2 or 3 board members.
Don't forget insurance.
Oh, insurance. Terry, are you still good to stay on that one?
Yeah.
It's a needs basis one.
Yeah.
Again.
Derek,
We may be meeting some in the future.
Okay, so we'll just put it on a needs basis. Policy Review Committee, I think this would be a good one that, for the reasons stated prior. Lisa would like to be on
I'm
that one.
interested in
Who else would be interested?
I'm interested.
Gina and Jennifer.
unless someone else is, I have other things.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm also interested in board.
Okay, well, let's plan on that one.
So sorry, Lisa.
Well, I wonder if board
Gina.
handbook and policy review will kind of go.
the same.
I can see
They're
us
not the
working on them
same, but
at
they're-
different,
But
at
they're
the same time.
different at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. You could put them together if you want.
Did anybody else want the policy?
Do not leave
instead
me
of-
alone on the policy review.
Well, when we went to our class at USBA, it sounded like most policies are done, and then they have nothing to do for a while, and then after the legislative session. So maybe you can work on the board handbook after you're
That's true, because they said they
But
usually get it done.
If we
the
want to start
previous-
reviewing everything that we have on our books.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah. I'm sorry, on the insurance, was it just Terry or was it Terry
It's
and
Terry
Melanie?
and me.
Okay, sorry.
So,
And now that we're moving towards self-funding, we'll most likely have those probably more regular, because
yeah. So board handbook, the 3 of you still want to just be on board handbook too?
I
Or is
think
there
that needs
others?
to be separate.
I'm interested in handbook or
Okay, let's
strategic
put,
plan.
okay, Rebecca, you go on.
Well, I'm interested in both of those, but I don't have to do both. I'm more interested in the goals and strategic plan.
Okay.
I think it's good for you to be on board handbook too, if you want it.
I'm interested in both.
Okay.
I'm happy to do both,
Who
but I
else?
don't want to do that solo. Someone come help me.
I'm interested in a strategic plan.
Okay,
That's what
put
we're
Meg on
talking about.
strategic.
Well, we're
I'll
kind
help
of-
you with board handbook.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to help with Penny.
Anybody else want to do handbook?
Work on handbooks for Rebecca.
Well,
or
I'm
Melanie.
really interested in the strategic plan, but I would be
I
happy
mean,
to
the
help with
strategic
it.
plan
Well,
is going to
that's
be,
gonna
the
be a
strategic
beast.
plan is
Yeah.
going to be
So,
everyone,
yeah.
and this is going
Yeah.
to be,
Okay.
It's gonna be, but it's getting, helping to get this process
Maybe you
started.
could do the strategic plan before me, if you want to, but I don't.
Okay, and then I put on the very bottom there, the committee revising committee.
I wonder if board leadership can work with district administration if you
Yeah.
got a plan to present
So
to the
just
board.
put board leadership on there, just, we could just put that in there.
And Gina, who had all the ideas
Yeah.
anyways.
And Gina.
Yes, I will do
Okay,
it. I'm passionate about getting committees up and running
Okay.
better.
All right. Any further questions about committee assignments for the time being until we figure things out? I think it's going to be good. So, and again, if something comes up that you're not able to do it, do not hesitate to reach out to board leadership and say, this isn't working out for me. Can I get a switch or something like that? Don't. This is not your full-time job, just so you know. Even though it may feel like it sometimes.
He's no caseload now.
Okay, let's keep going. Graduation speaking. Let me pull up the dates. So,
Does anybody have a child graduating
I
that they
do.
want to? So you or Tim
I would like to do Tiffany this year.
Would you look at graduating when they're still?
So, and then Provo High. Rebecca did it last year. Is there somebody who would like to do Provo High? We're talking at 5 minutes each, usually no more than 5 minutes.
Please no more
Three.
than 5
Three to
minutes.
count.
Do you want me to do
Mine
it?
was 1 minute and 37 seconds.
Terry would be great.
y'all.
1 minute
She's very brief.
37.
You want to do it, Terry?
I'll do Provo High this
Okay.
year.
All right. Timpview is me. I've got this backwards. Independence. Who would like to do Independence?
I love Independence. Might be a good one for these guys to cut their teeth on, but
Yeah,
I love
it's easy,
Independence.
but they're so fun.
Yeah.
And they're
They're the
backyard
best
is
ones.
beautiful.
I'm happy to, if you wanna do it, you go for it.
No, no, you
because
go.
I don't care.
Well, the same
Well,
night,
pick one.
same night
One of
there's
you
adult
do
ed.
Independence and one of you do adult ed.
Perfect, perfect.
So who do you?
You pick on it, you choose.
Oh, I don't.
Lisa, you
Okay.
should do independence because that's our assignment right now.
I would choose independence.
Okay, so who's doing Independence?
Lisa, and then Meg will do adult ed.
Okay.
That leaves me
And
and Jennifer to rock, paper, scissors for fall.
And do both of us have a graduate one next spring?
I have a Provo
But you
next
have
the year
Timpview.
after, and you have it.
I don't have an assignment. I can do it.
You want
Oh,
to
if you want me to,
Oh,
because then
yeah.
you two can just jump to the next year.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. All right. Looking at our time, what do we have? So we have lots going on our agenda. So we're going to have to move some of this to our business meeting, and that's okay. Let's do the proposed meeting schedule right here. It's on your board docs if you need to. Are there any days on there that you see big, glaring things?
Do we really want to have a meeting on Valentine's Day?
It is so
Yes.
romantic.
I don't know what. I already started my shift. I was supposed to work Valentine's Day.
So,
I love you
Your
all.
husband can have a watch. It would be amazing.
Yeah.
We can throw chocolates to them from the.
If we could make it a fun meeting, like we do something,
That's
that's
right.
we could do some engagement.
So, do we want 7th, 15th, 21st?
I'm fine
What,
keeping it.
Bonnie,
Doesn't
what's
bother
the
me.
schedule?
I feel generally we need to keep the consistency of the second.
Especially for the
Tuesday.
public.
So
Yeah.
the 15th?
I never celebrate on the actual day anyway.
I
so
don't
Friday.
either.
I already switched my work shift. You don't have to do that.
No. Besides Valentine's Day, were there any glaring?
Okay, so I was just wondering, March 3rd is currently the board retreat. I believe that's
Yeah.
also the last day of the legislative session.
Right.
I know in the past we've talked about maybe waiting till legislative session is closed and we know what the WPU and other funding might be when you bring the budget report. What are your thoughts on that, Derek?
I like it because once, if you the more time you have with legislative ending, you get better numbers as those calculations get fleshed out. So
So you'd like moving it?
I would definitely support moving it back to be able to present more accurate numbers if that was the reason.
So currently, March 3rd is in place of our end of February study session, so we could put back the end of February study session and then put this in place of the end of March study session? Does that?
That's just quite a bit later than normal.
It's definitely a lot later.
Alright.
The March is
Do it
probably
like
a little
March
too late,
21st?
I would think, for the association meetings that we have. Because usually we're having more before then, if I remember right. And So I would think we'd want to probably at the latest do it by essentially that board meeting, a week or two later at the latest. Does that make sense? Because if March 3rd is the first week, the next week, we'd have, depending on what day that landed, we may not have board meeting that next week on Tuesday, and so we'd be completely to the next week. Does that make sense?
The 14th is our study session.
Being the 14th is
The
study?
the 14th is the business meeting, right?
Study
But
session and business
what we
meeting.
could do is
So
move it,
it's not
Bingo.
we could have,
Third is the
That's the
could we
one.
do March 10th and then move our study session and business meeting to the 21st?
The other thing about the 14th is that's a day off of school.
Yeah.
That's a day off
So
school.
is that March or February?
Yeah,
March
sure is.
14th, so that meeting is in conflict with that, although
So-
that's a PD day, the
It's a
teachers are in,
PD
right?
day and
It's a
like everybody goes back
PD
to school
day.
Monday.
But everybody else who has kids out.
But yeah, a lot of us have
Maybe
kids
out.
that are out. So, I mean, I could see us moving the board retreat to the 10th and then moving the board meeting to the 21st and not having the early morning one that month.
February's board meeting to the 21st. You're saying?
No, the board retreat
The
to the
board
10th.
retreat from the March 3rd to March 10th.
Oh, March 3rd.
And then adding back in
The late
on,
February.
But the 10th is no school.
yeah, so on February 28th, we would add one in.
No, the
Also
10th
no
of March is
school.
in school.
Oh, it is?
It's not because of the new, right? Am I
No,
right?
March
March
10th
10th
is a school day.
Is a school day.
It's the 13th and 14th we have out, according to
I
whatever.
really was hoping somehow. I just took that day off. Okay, don't listen to me.
I'll listen to you if it means we get to take it off.
It's my 5-day weekend. All right, got it.
So let me just make sure, so if we did a February 28th morning one, right, study session at 7:30, and then March 10th would be our retreat, would that be enough time after the legislative session?
It gives more time, so that way we
It would be better, we know exactly what has been passed and what's not. And then move the March 14th to the 21st. And then,
So then we would have
and then
take
not
off the
and
8th,
take off the
right?
28th. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay.
And the 21st would be a morning or just a regular?
It would be
evening?
regular.
Regular evening,
Mhm.
okay.
Okay, any other glaring things that you saw in there?
Bonnie, has Elizabeth reached out about our joint meeting with the city council yet? Okay.
I'll reach out to her after this. She usually doesn't reach out to me.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we want to move the second study session to the 30th? So that it's not the same week as all the graduations?
Not
Didn't we get rid of our early morning one last May?
Yeah, we
We
didn't
did.
do it.
I think we could.
frequently delete them.
Let's just take that one off, that May 23rd one.
It's graduation and last
Yeah.
week and whatnot. And
So,
And is there something you need
I would
for that time?
rather have one on the 30th.
When we don't
Sure we'll have
cancel it,
business.
that's usually the introductory budget discussion,
yes.
which has to
That's
be
right.
approved in June.
So let's do May 30th then, the
Instead
following
of the
week for
23rd.
early.
We always
I'm
have
pretty
business.
sure I won't be here. I already know I won't be able to book that one.
It
As long
is
as
the
you guys
day
don't care, I
after
don't care.
Memorial Day.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna be out of the country.
I will
Keep
need
it the
something in the
23rd?
second half of
Yes.
May just for the budget.
Okay, let's do May
Should we-
30th,
May 30th.
morning study
If people are
session.
potentially out of town though, because it's after school's out, should we just keep it on the 23rd? Or
Yeah,
is that
maybe
too much
that.
with graduation?
It doesn't
I
bother
can
me
do
to
it.
have it that same week.
What do you guys feel?
We don't even have graduation that day.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm fine.
thinking
I'm
No,
fine with the
Provo
23rd.
Highs is on the
Provo Highs
23rd.
is on the 23rd.
Oh.
Oh, I'm looking
Yeah.
at this.
There's
This
enough
is
time
24th
between the
of April.
meeting and the graduation to take a nap.
Yeah.
They shifted the
Unless you have
dates from the
babies, you don't
original
get
schedule.
I'm actually
Okay.
out of preschool that
So
week.
it
Which
moved
one's
I don't
that?
care what I
to
do.
the
I'm
24th.
It's Wednesday, Todd said, so the
Yeah,
24th.
they moved, it moved. Yeah.
Provo High is the 24th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so let's just keep it May
yeah.
I think
23rd.
so, and
for
that way
morning.
people can, if they go out of town after graduation and stuff.
Okay.
So that one's good.
All right, anything else? Okay. Okay, we got to F. So, we will have to do we'll start with the construction update after the oath and,
school report and all that.
Well, most of them are in the business, items.
Yeah,
anyway.
that's true, we can talk about some of these, we'll just, so after, public input, we'll come back to the rest of our agenda, okay? Alright, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn the site.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you see the line?
So there's one little, well, I guess there was single person, so there's single person here, and then there's one on the way to the EDC on the break. So if this person out of here.
Okay, on the way to